My name's Ryan Madden. I'm the Vice President of Communications and Public Relations for the United Soccer League. And thank you for joining us here in the Academy for this morning's programming at Soccerex USA. We're going to start today with a lovely presentation from Analyticom Comet, the world's leading football management system, which will be led by Nina Lavica. No, close. And Katarina Jurcevic. Better? There we go.
Very
Thank you
good.
so much. I'll pass it over to them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming and joining our presentation. My colleague Katarina and I will present you today Comet, the world's leading football management system. So what is so special about it? Well, we like to present ourselves by presenting who we work with, our clients. So as you can see on the screen, we are present worldwide. We are working with confederations and federations, so national governing bodies. Speaking about confederations, we are working with CONMEBOL, CONCACAF, and Oceania Football Confederation. This means that we are managing competitions such as Copa Libertadores or Copa Sudamericana in CONMEBOL. In CONCACAF, which is based here in Miami, we are managing competitions such as CONCACAF Champions League, Nations League, and all others. For example, beach soccer, futsal competitions. And in Oceania Football Confederation, which is not a big confederation as these two, the most popular competition is ISPS Hand-Up Premiership. And for federations, we had to group them. We are working with more than 40 federations. We are pretty strong in Americas, where we have we are partners with Argentina Football Federation, Peru, Chile, Colombia. These are all federations which has hundreds of thousands of players registered, and more than 100 competitions are managed on monthly basis. In Europe, the situation is a bit different. We started with Croatian Football Federations, so it was 16 years ago. And we are now working with smaller and medium-sized federations. So we expanded regionally 10 years ago, and our last federations are Wales and the Football Federation of Northern Ireland. We are really proud of our only football association in Asia, that's Qatar. It was a big challenge to switch the system to Arabic language and to mirror everything. So what is left on the left side in other system in Arabic version is on the right side. And as we already said, Oceania Football Confederation is using the system for the continental level competitions, but also these 10 islands, New Zealand and 9 smaller islands, are using the system for their national leagues. So we are a company based in Croatia. We have 4 offices in Zagreb, Osijek, Rijeka, and Split, but we also have data centers all over the world. So in Germany for Northern Hemisphere and in Auckland for Southern Hemisphere due to high latency. We have a cold and hot backup for our data in Finland, so everything is secure with us. A couple of things of which we are proud of. We were awarded as Best Small Business in Croatia. Maybe it doesn't mean a lot to you, but for us, we're really proud of it. Also, we certified our processes. We have ISO 9001 quality management standard, and also information security and business continuity. And we like to say that we are the most experienced football management team in the world. We have FIFA referees working for us. We have 40 full-time employees, mostly in IT and football domain specialists. And we executed successful implementations in 40 countries on 5 continents. So how is everything working? We start with the core. Core is about roles, users, accounts, permissions, authorizations, workflows, and processes. Don't do that daily, but it's important to set it up in front. And the registrations. So all the stakeholders need to be registered in the system before we start with the competitions. So not only players, coaches, and match officials are registered, but also the stadiums, fields, venues, clubs, and so on. For 95% of our competitions, competition standard module is enough. This is where you prepare your lineups, you enter the players, coaches, you appoint the referees. This is really enough for 90% of the competitions in the system. But also there are some top leagues which require some specific reports, such as referee assessor report, delegate report, security officer report, venue data coordinator, and so on and so on. For these reports, we have a competition advanced module. Everything is connected in Comet, so for disciplinary module, the sanctions are created automatically. So if the player gets the red card during the match, the suspension will be created, and the disciplinary committee only has to enter the system and confirm this suspension or maybe increase the sanction. Also, we have separate model for national teams. So, for example, if you need to send a notification to clubs that you need your players for preparations, or if you're organizing international friendly matches, this is done through national team. Since we've been working with federations for the last 16 years, we have custom extensions for club licensing, for messaging center, for self-registration, and so on and so on. So this is just to give you insight in our competition centering process, what you can do in just one module. So starting from competition scheduling, allocation of match officials, notifications of officials and clubs, team registration, all kinds of different reports, disciplinary management. We also expose our data through REST APIs, so automated website updates are possible. So basically, just to wrap up this introduction, the same system is used on continental level for competitions such as Copa Libertadores, when these three men are playing, and for competition in lower leagues for grassroots, U10 in Bosnia or on any of the islands in Oceania. Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna try and pick up where Nina left off. We're talking here about our core product, which probably many of you have heard of. It's called Comet. The story of Comet started with the Croatian Football Association, as Nina mentioned, but gradually Comet expanded from this custom solution that was developed for the Croatian Football Association into a system that can now accommodate requirements from 40 different countries, 2 confederations, different languages, different types of usage, different profiles of users. But our core business really is competition management. So let's take a look at what is involved in competition management. So we're talking here about the sport of football, or actually all the FIFA governed sports. 11-a-side football, futsal, and beach soccer as well. So before we can program a competition, before we can start talking about a competition, we first have to have all the stakeholders registered in the system. So starting from clubs that participate in any competition, or they could also be national teams. We also need to have all the venues, all the stadiums and various locations where the matches are held. We also need to include, and we talk a lot about registration of players. Those are typically the most extensive, most cumbersome processes for any football association. Our clients, as you have seen, are mostly governing bodies, national level or a continental level, and also in some cases professional leagues or leagues that manage their own competitions. But they all have same or very similar problems and similar processes. So they're all concerned with managing the game. And before we can manage the game, we need to have all the stakeholders registered in the central database that now everyone has access to. So here we're seeing an example of a profile of a referee from New Zealand. Similar idea, when we talk about registration of players, our system can now accommodate all the rules and regulations that are imposed by this governing body that is supposed to control the process of player registration. So we can customize the system to the smallest level of detail, where a client can tell us what is the relevant information, what is the required information, what are the required processes, who are the persons involved, the different organizations or user profiles that are involved in this process, and we can structure everything and design the workflow of the process to match the client's needs. But everything is driven with the same engine. We have also realized that for most of our clients, accreditations are a big part of what they deal with when it comes to competition managements or registrations or licenses even of some of the persons involved. So here on this screen you see an example of some of the ID cards or accreditation cards that are generated from the system. Now the latest trend in this area is electronic registrations. So many of you have probably received, let's say, your boarding passes in an electronic format, which you can then show on your smartphone. This is now the new trend in accreditations for players or match officials or team officials that participate in any competition or any event. And we can accommodate that as well. And the client can customize the information and customize the templates for any of their various competitions or events that they need to provide accreditations for. So let's say we've covered step one. Now we have all the relevant stakeholders, all the actors we've got registered in the system. Now we can start with planning and scheduling competitions. So the system accommodates and can manage different competition styles, the most typical league-type competitions or cup-style or elimination-type competitions, and very complex competition structures like many of our confederations manage, where you start out with some kind of qualifications phase, and then group phase, and then elimination phase, etc. So the system can accommodate all these requirements to the top-level professional competitions, going down to the grassroots level amateur children's competitions that maybe some communities are doing in a much more relaxed style. Okay, anyone who is involved in competition management knows how many details it requires and how complex developing a schedule for a competition can be, and how exhausting it is to discuss all the minute details of planning for all the match events, match data, match pairs, locations, I don't know, team kits, coordinating the colors that the various teams are going to be wearing so they don't even clash with the referee kits, etc. All of that can be now managed electronically, digitally in this one central database system, and it's available to those persons who are involved, and all this information is basically accessible on demand with all the up-to-date changes instantly, right? As I mentioned, our core business here is managing competitions, and then what that boils down to is managing the matches. Let's say one example of a match screen, match worksheet here that you see on the screen is from a Qatar competition. You can see a typical Comet screen where the persons involved can see basic match information, including all the match officials that have been appointed to that particular match. In Qatar, there's quite an extensive list of match officials that all have to be registered and all have to be notified about any relevant match information or changes to the scheduled match event where they've been appointed to. Again, everything managed through our system. So let's talk a little bit about appointing match officials. That topic in itself can go on for a long time. So obviously we cannot describe it to the fullest extent and the fullest detail, but you are all probably aware of the complexities of the process of appointing match officials, and then their ability to either confirm or reject appointments, to be notified on time, and to be able to respond appropriately to their appointment. So the system also sort of out of the box provides this capability, and it generates either email notifications or also push notifications to their mobile app, and allows the users, and the most common example being match officials, allows the end user to then respond to this appointment they've just been notified about, and either confirm or reject their appointment, which will then again send another message to the responsible person who needs to be aware if, for example, a referee cannot attend a match and they need to find a replacement for them. I don't know what I pressed. Another example of a screen in Comet where a match official, in this case a referee, when they log into the system, they immediately have a list of their upcoming matches. So the system is designed to provide the most relevant information based on the person and their role in the organization. So in this case, for a referee, obviously, the most important information they should be aware of is their upcoming matches, their schedule of matches, so they can plan their days accordingly. Okay, the clock is just counting down very rapidly, so I'm going to have to kind of speed this up a little bit. So let's mention briefly match day operations. Lots of details involved here in match day operations. So let's say we've prepared everything up front, the officials have been assigned, it's the day of the match. Now there are some other things that need to happen before the kickoff time. Typically the teams involved have to provide their lineups. Before, they would do it maybe on paper, and they would have to hand this paper off to someone, and then someone would have to check if these are the players who are present today, etc. Now, this part can also be handled electronically, either via mobile app or via the web interface. Each team has the ability to prepare their team lineup in advance. And a very common workflow that's set up in the system and used by many of our clients is that you do not permit the opposing team or even some of the other actors to see the lineup until a particular point in time. So either both team lineups have to be approved and confirmed, so they have to be finalized, and therefore there will be no more changes. Now the information can become public, or in some cases, there's some type of a cutoff time, let's say 30 minutes before the match. This is all based on the competition rules and the organization rules, and it's all customized by us to match the client's requirements. What else happens on match day? So during the match or after the match, well, after the match, definitely the referee will have to either complete or confirm their match report, the official match report. But during the match, it's also possible to have someone enter match events live, and in this case, facilitate live coverage of the match. And this information can immediately be fed to, let's say, the organization's website or the club's website, and they can basically generate interest and drive fans to their site. Okay, the clock is now down to 0. Obviously, we have a lot more to say, a lot more to show. I will have to wrap it up here, but I invite all of you who are interested in seeing more and hearing more about Comet to come visit our booth number 113. We also have some brochures here for you. If you'd like to take them back and share them with someone in your office, please feel free to pick one up or come by our booth and we'll have more brochures to share with you. Thank you very much for your attention.